Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com. And tonight, we're going back into the world of crowdfunded comics. Now, some of you guys are like brand new to this crowdfunding thing. Some of you guys are veterans at making comics. And let me tell you, whether you're a veteran or a first-timer, if you're making your first comic, you're always first. All of you were first-timers at one point. If you want your first comic, you could do worse than getting national television coverage and invitations to televised talk shows to talk about the book you just put out. And that is exactly what our guest tonight has done. As he's been called in a world of comic book saints, this man is the devil himself. Please welcome Mr. Hart D. Fisher to the show. Hart, how are you?
I'm in that middle of the promotional run, you know. I'm sitting here in the American Horror Studios where we do the American Horrors television channel. If you're a horror fan, that's what I did when I left comic books. I left comics and I got involved in the world of film and television, and that became my life. And I did it. We signed our first TV contract for American Horrors in 2008, and I was made the host of the show. So I've been doing these shows since 2008 and running the American Horrors television channel. And I felt, you know, it's our 30-year anniversary this year. And I thought, well, I want to get back into comics. I want to do comics again. I miss doing comics. And here I am, like you said, your first one. So this is my first Kickstarter. And I've made some mistakes on the way here, but I feel pretty good about it. I'm having a lot of fun with this campaign.
You know, the nice thing about comic book horror versus television horror or movie horror, the budget for the special effects is down to nothing almost.
Yeah, and also with horror comics, the great thing about horror comics is horror is a genre that's very dependent on your imagination and the mind and what's out in the dark. What's the thing under the bed? What's the thing in the closet? What's waiting for you around the corner? Is your boss's smile the smile of a serial killer? That's the stuff in horror. It requires an imagination. It's the thing I like about horror. And with horror TV and horror film, you're presenting so much that it's not always in the imagination. And with comic books, everybody who reads a comic book will imagine your lead character's voice a little differently. And they'll have that own voice in their head. And like, even for me, when I created Bill the Bull, I based Bill the Bull. I was drawing him in high school. I started drawing Bill the Bull freshman year of high school, bored in algebra class. I made my best friend Bill Parcham into Bill the Bull, and I drew this comic books. And it's actually part of the Kickstarter. We're releasing the original comics I did in high school that have never been released to the public. You had to be a buddy of mine in school.
Oh,
my mom Xeroxed these things at work, and I sold them to people. So this is one of the things I'm adding on today. I'm sitting here and adding on all the different rewards to the Kickstarter. I've had a lot of stuff to add in, but it's a lot of work. This truly is a lot of work, and I don't have the same kind of team a lot of people have. I'm doing all the graphic design. I'm putting it all together. I've taken a very personal hand on this, but I always did with Boneyard Press. I always took a personal hand in it.
So these Ashcan Bill the Bulls really would be your true first published comic work.
Yeah, well, here's the funny thing. I've been talking about this a lot on the podcast, and people always talk about Most Dangerous Man in comics. And well, frankly, a lot of Boneyard Press was a family affair. You know, my mother and my father both had degrees in psychology. They were educated. Neither one were drinkers or druggers. They didn't do that stuff. And I was in a dark neighborhood. I grew up on the south side of Chicago.
Oh yeah.
So my mom and dad really encouraged my art. They liked it. They were both avid readers. They love books. And so they really encouraged me in my art. And my mother would supply paper for me so I could draw everything I wanted. Well, my mom recently passed. She passed in January.
Sorry.
And I've lost a lot in the last couple of years. I've had a very violent life, and I've lost a lot of my loved ones. And so in the last couple of years, I've had a lot of I lost my wife to colon cancer. One of my close friends and business associates, Groovy, dropped dead of a heart attack in October. My mom had brain surgery last summer, and then she passed in January. So I've been kind of kicked in the teeth, and I'm sitting here at 52 years old and going, what the hell's going to get you out of bed, man? What's going to get you up? What's going to bring you back? And I thought about comics a lot, and I was trying to do the Kickstarter while my mom was still here. This is why I launched in July. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but her birthday is July 6th. So I kind of was thinking about her, and I wanted to make this happen while she's alive. And when she passed, I went up to her house, and I'm going through the attic, and I found a box, like a big cardboard box, like big, filled with every comic book I've ever drawn since I was 5 years old.
Oh my God. So yeah. You, not just high school, you've been drawing comics since, wow.
5.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I mean, I'm not a comic artist. I'm a writer. I write books, The Destroyer right now. But yeah, my first thing was a first grade play that I've talked about on the show that the teacher had the 8th grade class put on. I still have the cardboard bound collection of weekly. Our 8th grade teacher demanded a weekly, I forget what composition. Weekly composition. Everybody had turned something in, write on anything you want. So I just turned it into serialized chapters of a World War II story with a vampire and a werewolf, and just wrote it all year long and collected them. So I get, that drive from an early age to create the thing that, you continue creating as an adult.
Yeah. And I love the characters. I haven't worked with these. I left comics in 2004. I left them, frankly, a friend of mine was running a studio in Los Angeles, Sasuma Studios in Burbank. And his editor, the guy who was cutting for him, he had a edit bay in there, and it was a sound stage. So he dropped dead of a heart attack. His long story short, Drew, he found him. He found this guy dead in his house, and it turned out that his son was on meth and it got him to do a shot. And this guy didn't do drugs. He was not a meth head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I get this call at the Philadelphia Comic-Con where I'd gotten food poisoning and I'm sick as a dog. And Drew's like, man, Hart, I need you. I need you to come in and edit for me. And I was kind of burnt out on comics in 2004. I'd been through a lot. My father had just passed away. And I needed to change. I needed to do something different and expand my skills and challenge myself. So I went into the world of editing film and television and commercials and infomercials. But wait, there's more. I do voiceover work. That's right. Call now. Get the knife set and the half man, half bull. He'll come to your house. He won't do the dishes. He'll make a mess. But it'll be a lot of fun.
You don't have a video lead in on your Kickstarter. I'm pointing to it like everyone can see my screen because I haven't shared it yet. But yeah, you should be doing the video voiceovers for your Build a Bull campaign.
I actually shot a big interview about it. Like, we had planned on doing a whole thing, but the last year with COVID, I've lost a lot of people. I've really lost a lot of people and a lot of our associates. And it's knocked our teeth out over here. So many people died from overdoses, suicide. My mom, they delayed her emergency brain surgery for 2 months over the lockdown issues. So it's bad, you know what I mean? And it's been really, really tough. And so I have these videos shot, but honestly, I haven't had the chance to sit down and cut them. You get what I mean? Like, they're there, and that's my job tonight. After I talk to you, my job is to try to wolf down a hamburger. Then I'm going to get on the Kickstarter, and I'm going to be adding up all these reward tiers, and I'm going to be doing graphics, and I've got these videos to put up. American Horrors has a pretty big audience, and I haven't even had the chance to put commercials on the network yet. So we're hitting our last 10 days. So I gotta.
Now, is American Horror syndicated? I mean, can people find that locally wherever they're at in the country?
Yeah, actually, the great thing about American Horrors is I got to launch this with billionaire Alki David. I'd gotten a contract in 2008 from the Global Broadcast Company. And it was interesting because of my reputation in comics as the most dangerous man in comics, this evil guy, and I'd had this tag hung on me that is kind of inappropriate. I just like comics. I just made the comics I wanted to read. The only book we ever tried to do for pure shock value was Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, I was going to say that was a shock one, yes.
Yeah, that one we did for shock, and it wasn't my idea either. That belongs to William Christensen. He was publishing a comic cavalcade, or he had a comic store that I worked with, not worked with, but I was a customer, and so it was his idea, that book, and we needed money for legal fees because the victim's family sued me. And so I need money to pay a lawyer to defend myself in court over a frivolous lawsuit. And that's why I did it. I did that book specifically because I needed money for the lawyer. So
and that lawsuit was and that lawsuit was just over the Jeffrey Dahmer book. That was your first quote unquote professional publication, which is what earned you. Because I was there, not physically with you, but I was there at the time in comics, and people who knew I was reading comics like, You're not gonna get that comic, are you? I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't think my shop was going to carry it, but I may call them and ask them to now because you told me I shouldn't read it. And because there was so much. It wasn't just that, that was a thing in the news. It was at a time in comics when we were hearing so much about other comic book creators pushing the envelope and getting you guys were being canceled before this whole cancel culture was a thing.
Forget about Twitter mob. I had an actual mob in front of my house shouting for my blood, damning me to hell. Yeah. And the thing is the book they got upset about, my first claim to fame, even before the Jeffrey Dahmer comic, I started publishing in 1991 with my book Dark Angel. And it was half Dark Angel, half Bill the Bull. And it was published in May 1991. So Marvel Comics had an imprint, Marvel UK, and they had a book called Hell's Angel. So the motorcycle club sued them, won, donated the money they won to charity, and then they changed the book's name to Dark Angel. So growing up on the south side of Chicago the way I did, I knew some guys in the Hell's Angels, and I hit them up, and I got the contact information to the lawyer. So the lawyer for the Hell's Angels and I got on the phone for about an hour or so, and he told me how to handle the case. He totally helped me and told me exactly what to do. And I hired a lawyer in Champaign, Illinois, where I was a college student, going to art school. Yeah. And I hired the lawyer and I went after them. I went after them in court and I won. I'm the only comics creator to ever beat Marvel Comics in court, the only one. And you don't read about that in the history books. I think a lot of my history, people have been trying to scrub it out of the books. You know what I mean? Yeah,
well, we need a book of that kind of history too. So people remember, later on, folks like you and, the shit that went down with Mike Diana and Boiled Angel.
I was a publisher of Michael Diana. Michael Diana he'd spend time on my couch. And I literally had the police tell me, if you publish his work, we're going to come after you for publishing and distributing obscene materials across state lines.
Yeah, he was co-engendered from drawing.
Yeah, he's the only American cartoonist in America to go to jail for his art, and it was illegal for him to draw for many, many, many years. His sentence was draconian, absolutely draconian. He was really targeted and victimized, and his art wasn't worth all that brouhaha. It was all political. It happened in Florida. It involved the Gainesville murder case, which was a big deal back then. The serial killer was killing people in their beds, including a big tough wrestler he killed in his bed and raped and murdered his girlfriend. So these books, we really were under assault. This idea of cancel culture isn't new. I mean, it's a consistent thing throughout history. You consistently have different generations of people arguing about what content is good, and it keeps changing what they're upset about, what they're not upset about from decade to decade. And what you learn about censorship, most of the time when it comes to dealing with censorship, it isn't about your work. It's about that person that's attacking you. It's something's going on in their head. They've got some issue happening in their head, and okay, the Dahmer book, when I got on Sally Jesse, not Sally Jesse, was Faith Daniels, the first talk show I did. She gets up and she's like, I can't show you everything in this book, but I could show you this. And it's a drawing of some of the heads in Dahmer's fridge, and it's the most graphic piece of art in the whole book. I hired a newspaper illustrator, and we said, look, guys, we are going to handle a distasteful subject matter as tastefully as we can. And that was what we set out to do. And I felt we did a good job. And in the first opening page of the book, I'm talking about how serial killers suck. I can't stand him. This guy's a douchebag. You know, I think the media has handled his portrayal all wrong. You people put him in People magazine's top 25 most intriguing people of 1991. And the guy's a child rapist. He's a child rapist. And you put him in your top, really, guys? So I really condemned him. And so the media turned around and they did fake news on me. They did fake news before there was a name for it. CNN headline news would edit the answer for one question as if it was the other question. You feel me? And that's very disingenuous. That's very disingenuous. And they sought to portray me. They ignored the fact that I was an honor roll kid, that I was part of the National Honor Society. I went to a high school for super smart kids called Project Individual Education. I was captain of the swim team sophomore year. I was Mr. Rah-Rah Boy Scout, dude. I was a good kid. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. I didn't drink until my girlfriend got murdered when I was making my first film, The Garbage Man. When I was a bouncer, I was the guy who didn't drink at all. I didn't drink. And the other bouncers would have fun fucking with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, what are you too good to drink a shot with me? We're going to do some Jägermeister. Oh, all right. I'll do a shot with you all. All right. Okay. Well, we're going to have some dead Nazis. Oh, God damn it. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this stuff just kept happening. And I had a lot of violence in my life. Several of my women were all raped and victimized in my beginning of my comic book career.
You're a jinx, dude.
My girlfriend was, raped and murdered making The Garbage Man in 1993. And that's when I really went off the deep end. And I was insanely furious and angry and out of my mind and traumatized. And that's when, the pile-on happened. I became this label. And so I'm on these talk shows. And on one of them, the victims' families were taunting me in the audience. Because when you shoot a talk show, when they go to commercial, they shoot these things as if they're live.
Yeah.
So they go, okay, we're going to break for commercial and we're off the air. And so when they did that, the victims' families that were suing me are like, oh, I heard your girlfriend got raped. I hope it hurt. I hope it hurt. I hope she screamed. Because they're looking to get me to flip out on the air. And it was really brutal. And then when I wrote A Taste of Cherry or co-wrote, I rewrote the original script. I gave it the new title. I gave it the new ending. I gave it different dialogue. I had no idea that story was going to blow up at Veronica 4. To me, it was just a horror story. It was nothing worth. I'm a Stephen King reader. I'm a tremendous reader. So I'm going, there's nothing in this A Taste of Cherry that's any worse than a James Ellroy book. I was a big fan of the Black Dahlia. That book blew up my mind, and I read it in college, like sophomore year or junior year. I was taking a hard-boiled fiction literary criticism class, and it really helped me as a writer. It really helped me grow as a writer. And so I'm reading all this, and I grew up reading Andrew Vox, and this is hard-hitting stuff. And there's really hard-hitting stuff in Stephen King's books or Clive Barker's books, or I was a big fan of the Splatterpunk movement with David Scow and John Skipp and Craig Spector. I'm a big avid reader. I'm a huge reader. And so they really influenced me a lot. And so when I wrote for Glenn, Glenn asked me for a Veronica story, and I'm like, okay, Glenn, do you want the hammer or do you want the fucking bang hammer?
Yeah.
And Glenn's like, I want the hammer. So I gave it to him, and he saw something in the story that I just did not. He really saw something in it that I didn't see. Is that a Jack and Coke for me? Oh, thank you. You're lovely. So I had no clue that Taste of Cherry story was going to blow up. The Dahmer story, I didn't know was going to blow up like that. The way it started was a reporter in Milwaukee went to a comic book store. He bought the book, Then he went to the victims' families' homes and ambush interviewed them and just jammed the books in their faces. What? Hey, how am I supposed to know that's going to happen? How? You know, and I knew these people. We'd talk. We'd be backstage. We would talk. You get it? It was brutal. And then the victims' families had these community leaders that were leeching on them to get fame, to get notoriety, to show that they're a community leader. And so there were a lot of predators manipulating and using the victims' families for their own fame, their own making money. You know, when I did Jerry Springer, I didn't get paid to be on there, but they did. Yeah. They got paid a lot of money to be on there, and I'm the bad guy, and I'm going to get treated pretty shitty. But I knew that I had to get out there and talk. I knew, like me being on your show now, I knew that I had to get out and talk to your audience. You know what I mean? And I knew that I had to do this campaign now. I had to get on all these different shows and talk to people and let them know the truth, because I think it's like the comics media all hushed up. It wasn't open secret what was going on in my life. There were 3 different murder trials involving my late girlfriend. And it was ugly and horrible. And then the press was on me because it was a sex crime, you know, and I'm infamous author of the Jeffrey Dahmer book. Yeah. And then I did the Kill Image comics, and I did the Kill Marvel books, and I did the Rush Limbaugh Must Die, you know, and that wasn't my idea either. My brother was in a body shop business, and I'm hanging out with him and a tattoo artist named Nick Wiggins. Nick, how you doing, buddy? Mark of Cain Tattoo, great guy. He did my back piece. And also Benoit over at Deluxe Tattoo in Chicago, 2 very old friends of mine, fantastic artists, and they've both done work on me. And Ben tattooed my mom. Yeah, Ben tattooed my mom. So I lost my train of thought here. What was I babbling about?
Oh, we were talking about the bad publicity and the attacks and everything. But
yeah, the murder trials made me crazy. They just absolutely made me nuts. And I would go do a talk show, and I'd get in there and I'd go, look, if you bring up my girlfriend's murder on the show, I'm fucking done. I'm going to rip this microphone off, and I'm going to storm off your stage, and I am done. Nobody brings up her murder. If you bring up her rape and murder, I'm off your show.
So they say that for the last 10 minutes, right?
No, they didn't. They were just like nervous as hell. I'm not a little fella. I'm a big fella, and I've been doing martial arts, and I grew up in a bad side of town. So when I start getting serious, and degrees drop in the room, and I meant it. I was serious as hell, and I had actually already gotten into trouble. All right, I should tell this story on the air. You want to hear about me threatening to maim a news director, or should
Absolutely. I'm looking for something to drink now. I'm out of drinks down there. I'm going to have to go shopping tonight. Yes. Tell us about the time you threatened to maim a news director, and also tell us if the bad publicity and the national publicity spiked the sales of the Dahmer book higher than you might have gotten without anybody in Wisconsin showing it off to the victims' families.
I don't think it would have sold as much. You know, we had 3 different printings of that book because of the publicity, you know. So, and in fact, there were 3 other Dahmer books. I mean, I did 3 other Dahmer books to pay for my legal defense. It cost like 10 grand, dude.
Yeah.
$10,000 in 1990 money when you just got out of college and you're a bouncer.
Yeah, it was real money then.
That's real money, man. And I got lucky because who paid for my legal defense? My mother did. At the last minute, my mom saved my butt. My mom saved my ass again. Okay. That's a big part of why I'm doing the Buildable Omnibus, is I'm coming back to do something that my mother really liked, that I know she'd be proud of me for, that she was super influential on and enabled me to do it. You know, without her, there wouldn't be a Boneyard Press. I wouldn't have been doing comics. And that's a big part of why I'm doing this, is to kind of dive back into that original love of creating books and that joy of just falling into that universe, and you're gone, you're drawn, and you're writing, and you're in your universe. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to reconnect with that. And that's why I think people should get on board with this. This isn't just your usual, I've got 50 variants. You know what I mean? I got a bunch of die-cast medals. This is a serious book that's filled with amazing work and amazing artists. And it all comes from a real place. So when people read these Build a Bull stories, they're two-fisted tales. They are knock your teeth out, really funny. A lot of this stuff is really, really funny.
I've heard it compared to Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely, without a doubt. These books really caused a ruckus in their day, and everybody loved to draw Bill the Bull. Everybody enjoyed that character. You know, that's how I got George Perez to do a cover. This book is going to reprint everything we did with Bill the Bull throughout the 90s. It's about 325 pages of, oh man, it's
That's
crazy. It's fun. Duncan Rouleau, if people are comic book fans, Duncan started his career at Boneyard Press drawing Bill the Bull. John Cassaday from the Astonishing X-Men and Planetary. John started his career with me. His first published work was Bill the Bull stories. And this stuff is all going to be in here. So you could get John Cassaday's first published work, and you're not going to have to pay exorbitant prices. And you're getting a big, fat book. This is a big, big book with Rick Veitch artwork. We've got work from Jason Moore. And a lot of these artists, they cut their teeth on Bill the Bull. This is their first work. All the stories are dynamic, exciting, different. I'm really thrilled to be doing this. And one of the coolest things that we're doing with this, we just added the first reward tier. We're doing the original ash cans of the original Bill the Bull I did in high school. So now for the first time since 1983, you can get the very first Bill the Bull ash can.
Volume 1, number 1, $8.
Yeah, right? $8. Pretty cool. And then the signed edition's a little bit more, you know, limited to 50. We're only doing 50 of them. And we're working on some cool little extras that we're going to throw on, some add-ons and stuff that we're going to be hitting up. I've got some people coming on board to help me with my campaign because, frankly, it's been hard doing this on my own. So I've recruited a couple of really dynamic women that have done a lot of Kickstarter campaigns before. So I'm really thrilled to be doing this. We plan on doing other campaigns. We're going to reprint the rest of the Boneyard books. There's going to be a Dark Angel campaign. There's going to be a Babylon Crush campaign. And yeah, we're going to reprint the Dahmer books. We're going to do the big book of Dahmer.
Okay. Yeah, we'll all, and you know what I find interesting is that you went through all that shit with publishing the Dahmer books, and then 20 years later, we're watching Dexter, we're watching Silence of the Lambs, and it was like suddenly we're fascinated. We're watching Criminal Minds, and it's like you were just 20 years ahead of all of that stuff. They had to catch up.
I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel I've been ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff, and it's kind of why. All right, my late wife was Japanese, and one of the things she did is I'm also a poet, so I'm a world-renowned poet. I'm a spoken word performer that's performed all around the world. Paris, Tokyo, Mexico City, I have done spoken word performances where I've opened up for bands, you know. So I have a very dynamic career. You obviously could hear my voice has got that radio announcer voice.
It's very
stentorian. I've done a ton of radio. I've done a ton of radio, and always, I do feel like I'm ahead of things. I always consistently feel like I'm ahead, but I'm surrounded by really intelligent people. I'm a 30-year martial arts practitioner. I've been able to train with some of the most amazing martial arts people in the world. It's a community that I really love, and it really gives me a lot. It's not just kicking each other in the head. There's so much that goes into training. I miss Gokor Trubitsky, I miss Gene the Bell. I miss Steve Kim, the North Korean fighter pilot. I miss so many of my friends from the Hayastan Academy in LA. It's an amazing life. And there I was doing judo and jujitsu in 1996 at Gokor and Gene's, leg locks and heel hooks. Now that's all normal. That's all normal now. You get what I mean? So I've always kind of been with very forward-thinking people, very intelligent people. And I'm always about challenging myself and challenging my skill set. And I feel this Kickstarter campaign is a challenge. I've never done this before. It's brand new to me. I've been trying to figure this out, and I'm really excited about it. It's very freeing to be able to interact directly with the fans like this and show your work. In the old days, you'd spend $1,000 just to get a full-page ad in one catalog, and they censored a lot of what could be in there. That was a problem. That this PC thing, this cancel culture thing, it's just a different jacket for the same man. It's the same shit, different day. Yeah. And it's been going on for decade after decade after decade. And the people, we just need to like kind of relax a little bit and like, hey, I don't want to watch that movie. So I'm going to turn channel. I don't
The
want
internet
that
makes it
book.
so
I'm
that
not going to
everybody
buy
can
it.
play the game now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I love that we have this clear communication. You get what I mean? Like, there was no podcasting when I was doing Boneyard Press, so people could lie about me all they wanted in the media. The mass media could present me in a certain way, and they could demonize me. And now, well, the fans get to hear me talk, and we can hang out, you and me, and that's very different, very different. And if you keep scrolling down on the Kickstarter, there's some really good artwork from Matt Roach in there, and Louis Small Jr. has got some good stuff in there. I'm going to be adding a bunch of new artwork to it tonight. I think that people should go ahead and just check out the Kickstarter, Buildable Omnibus. Hi, I'm Hart T. Fisher. Give me your money.
And the link to this Kickstarter, by the way, folks, is right underneath the video window you're looking at. It's the first line in the description. And you can click there and go there, and it will open in a whole new window, so it won't even take you away from the broadcast. You'll still get to hear Hart talk while you're going through and sending your money into this Kickstarter.
Thank you. Thank you. I really need the help. Every contribution, we've got, I think, some pretty cool, sincere rewards. And the work is fun. You're going to be really surprised, and you're really going to enjoy this. It's going to shock a lot of people because the material is so audacious, and all the different artists' renditions of Bill are so different and varied. That's
I
one
was
of the
just
things I
about
really
to say
like.
that. I mean, if you have 5 different artists draw Batman, they all kind of look like Batman. But you got 5 different artists draw Bill, and you got 5 totally unique interpretations of this. Not quite a minotaur, but this man bull kind of thing. Sometimes the face is more bull-like, sometimes it's more human-like it is here in this rendition with the horns. And then Hellboy had to come along, and you had to be looking at that and going, hey!
Well, there's a whole story with Hellboy and me. One, I'll just say it. I'm a huge Mike Mignola fan. The guy's an amazing creator, an amazing writer. That guy's fantastic. His page designs and his layouts are so good. But I will say that the Hellboy in the comics isn't the Hellboy in the movies.
Oh, no.
The Hellboy in the movies has steadily veered towards Bill the Bull and has became more and more Bill the Bull, especially the last one, where he looks like this. He looks like this. He doesn't look like Mike Mignola's Hellboy with the little tiny legs, you know? And Hellboy didn't run around wearing leather pants. And he wasn't a drinking, rebellious character. Not at all. And so that came from Bill the Bull. And how can I say that? I could say that because I sat on the couch of the producer of Hellboy in his Beverly Hills home while he read every Bill the Bull comic in front of me that I brought over for him.
Oh, my God.
Okay? Then around this, a little bit before that, before the Hellboy movie was done, Guillermo del Toro did a movie called The Devil's Backbone. And it was a great, great horror haunted Spanish orphanage during the Franco wars in the earlier part of the last century. And it's really good. And so he was doing a signing, and I was there with Mick Garris. For the people at home who don't know who Mick is Stephen King's favorite director. He's the creator of Masters of Horror, the Showtime series.
Oh, yeah.
And Mick's a really cool guy. So me and Mick, just like 2 regular dudes, we just stood in line together, me, Mick, and his lady, and we just waited and hung out and talked. And I gave him an entire stack. I gave Guillermo del Toro a stack. He has all the Bill the Bull books personally handed to him. You understand where I'm coming from on this?
Yeah.
Can you see where I could say, yeah, definitely there's an influence without a doubt, because the movie Hellboy isn't the Magnolia Hellboy.
So if you like the movie Hellboys, then you're really going to like the books of Bill the Bull. I just scrolled through a whole bunch of text here thinking I'd run in more pictures, but they're not down there.
No, not yet. Sorry, guys. We're going to get more, though. I'm going to be putting it on after this podcast. I'm going to, like I said, wolf down a cheeseburger or 2, and then I'm going to get this stuff posted.
That sounds good. You're making me hungry, and I'm on a mountain in northern Arkansas, and there's like not a cheeseburger place within 10 miles of me. You have to drive to get something to eat. I know.
Well, Well, I
But
do. I already have like some pattied up. Like I'm in Wisconsin, so I moved from LA to Lake Geneva. Part of the reason I came
it's
back to the
beautiful.
Midwest was to help take care of my mother. You know, my mother lives on the south side of Chicago, so I wanted to be within driving distance to help her. She'd been having more surgeries and stuff. And then my wife, my late wife, was having health problems. So we wanted to get out of LA, get out of the crime, the smog, the BS. And we came here to Lake Geneva. And I launched the second American Horrors channel right from Williams Bay here in Lake Geneva in a hotel room, the Harborview Motel. And so that's the Roku channel. American Horrors is available on Roku. It's totally free. It's available on glued.tv. It's available at the American Horrors Film Festival.com. It's available on BoneyardPress2020.com. And also, if you go to BoneyardPress2020.com, there is Hart Fisher's Video Vaults. So there is more stuff from my past. There is more art there. There's more video clips there. A lot of good stuff up there.
I just threw the link out into the chat there, so people can click on that. Like I said, this is a big book too, 325 pages, and you can get the digital version for only $20. So
yeah, and that's available worldwide. You know, I wanted to make something that anybody could download. It's the first time I've done a digital book. I've never done one before, so this is our first, and I'm pretty excited about it. I really want the world to enjoy Bill, and after we kick butt on this omnibus, we're looking to do new Bill the Bull stories in 2022.
yeah, I think digital is going to get a lot bigger too in crowdfunding because the things have changed in shipping over the last couple of weeks here, and I speak as a comic book distributor for crowdfunded stuff. VAT over in Europe, the taxes, all of a sudden they're trying to catch up on all the stuff they lost during COVID. And we're seeing people buy a $45 book and get a bill on the other end for $95 in taxes. That's. I told the guys, we've got some historical lessons on how to deal with that if you want to revolutionize things over there a little bit.
Well, if we're going to get political, we're seeing we live in a very, I would say, frightening time. The censorship that is happening, the government's interference with us talking to each other, the fact that I'm on Facebook and they'll put a label up that says my post is missing context. What the hell does that mean, missing context? Hey, Facebook, who the hell are you to say my post on my page from my mouth is missing context? Why do you need to shape the opinion of the people I'm talking to? Why do you feel you need to insert yourself into my private messages between other adults? These are other grown adults. The fact that, and guys, I didn't vote for Trump, okay? But the fact that Twitter banned our sitting president makes me sick in a country for free speech. The fact that Julian Assange is being prosecuted and hounded. The fact that our government has been throwing journalists in jail and actively allowing other countries to kidnap and torture to death a journalist from the Washington Post, to have doctors' videos censored on YouTube. A doctor is talking about his own practice and it's being censored on YouTube for what? For some big drug company, Johnson & Johnson. Hey, let's talk about your cancer-causing talcum powder. I'm supposed to just accept that this thing that you want to inject in me is going to be fine when you spent millions to hide the fact that your baby powder gave babies cancer, you piece of crap? Yeah. What about Pfizer? They just got hit with the largest fine ever for their role in getting the whole country hooked on opiates, on bribing doctors to get people hooked on opiate drugs that killed hundreds of thousands of Americans have been killed by Pfizer and these big drug companies' opioid epidemic that they manufactured for profit. But I'm supposed to just trust these guys?
Oh, yeah.
This is why I'm not doing political radio, guys.
Somebody needs to step in for that last guy who was worried about the fluoride turning the frogs gay.
Oh God, what a moron! What a moron! Jeez, what an idiot! Turn the frogs gay. Here's a fact, guys. There is an issue with the hormones that us humans take, right?
Yeah.
So My late wife had a hysterectomy the first time she was fighting cancer. So she had to go on hormones because this was in her 30s, you know what I mean? And so she went on these hormones. And the fact of the matter is, most people don't understand that, like, it travels through the body. It goes right out through the urine and it goes into the sewer system. And in Los Angeles, the sewer system dumps right in the ocean. So this is a fact. They've been having an issue with our hormones affecting the fish and the amphibians around this runoff. That's real. Not turning them gay, but making some of them like hermaphrodites and stuff. They've had lots of weird issues with this in Los Angeles from the runoff from our water. And it's one of the things that is in our water supply. All the drugs that we take are passed out of our system, not like the dosage, but this stuff adds up and it gets out in the environment. And again, this is the kind of stuff I talked about on Heart Attack when I did radio. My radio show was all about lies, misinformation, and corporate malfeasance, and the crap that our government was pulling on regular Americans. You know, the Democrats and the Republicans pull the same crap on each other. They want us all to fight over red and blue when we're all Americans. We're all Americans. And we're really in a serious state right now. And we need to come together. And we need to focus on being free, on taking our lives back, on taking the power back from these politicians they artificially grabbed from us. They artificially grabbed this power from us, but we are the people, and we are the ones that are important in this country. It's not the knuckleheads up at the top. It's not the heads of corporate media. And they're afraid of this kind of thing. They're afraid of Kickstarter. They're afraid of Indiegogo. They're afraid of all of us talking like this, because it's harder for them to say, Hart Fisher is this terrible, evil human being. He's doing all this terrible stuff. If you get to talk to me for an hour or two and go, well, wait a minute, I just was hanging out with Hart in the chat here, and he doesn't seem like what you're saying. That's not the guy I know. They're scared of that.
That's why they have to censor everything. So we're fortunate so far that they had not, interfered with actual live stream conversations. Although they have done that even with me before. I had a creator on. She was putting her first book out. The name of the book was Orgasm Girl. That was her.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't. No,
that sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't any nudity or even sex, and it was just that was her power. If she touched a guy, she overrode all his senses, and he's like, I don't care about nothing right now. I'm just out of this. And that's how she won fights. She was an MMA fighter, and she was cheating. And that was. Yeah, well, it's like he didn't want to fight anymore. But the very title of it, we'd gone for 50 minutes, coming up on an hour, and I looked up, and the check mark was off of my YouTube box because we're simulcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and somebody had complained to YouTube about the name of the book, and YouTube just killed the stream right there in the middle of it.
Wow!
And took the video down. Well, I got to put the video back up because I'm like, look, if you search this word on your own site, you get a lot more back than us innocently talking about a weird superpower for a comic book hero. And some of the stuff, is visual and graphic, and you say you won't even show that stuff, but there it is. So they put the video back up, minus the 10 minutes that we kept talking that didn't get included in there. So we didn't get a good conclusion on it, but we got it back up. So yeah, they interfere with the live streams as well. They'll take them down.
I've been pretty careful about what I'm doing here. I've engendered a lot of controversy, and so when I decided to do a Kickstarter, I talked to my friends. I asked them, like, hey, how does this work? What's the function? And I read their rules. I read their guidelines, and I wanted to make sure that I was within their guidelines. You know what I mean? So I wanted to play by the rules. So I read them all, and I've made sure that the work that I put in, the artwork that I put in, one of the things I did is this drawing is middle fingers up, but I airbrushed it out.
I'll tell you this: you put together a great looking Kickstarter.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Kickstarter will. There are people that Kickstarter will not allow on here, and have in fact kicked off because of Twitter activity, or reports. Oh yeah, or YouTube activity. So they've kicked people off because they seem to be a hateful person, or they've been reported to be a hate speech person on Twitter or on YouTube. So, and they were comic book creators that now they're on Indiegogo. They make their money there. And that's why you might hear political things about, oh, why aren't you on Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter? It's because, Pepper Ridge Farm remembers when Kickstarter would do that to creators.
Okay, I was planning on doing the Kickstarter, and then after I fulfill my orders, the plan was to go do an Indiegogo campaign. I like the way Billy Tucci goes back and forth, on the two platforms. And so that was kind of my plan. And I'm doing this for fun and love. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to entertain people. I want to have fun. These books were done out of love. The artists that drew on these books really enjoyed it. They're very excited to have them come back. There's a lot of art from amazing creators in this book. John, and especially somebody like John Cassaday or Duncan. Those guys, it's really cool to see where it started, and you can see John's work, and it's John's work. And then he's gone so far. You get what I mean?
Pretty early in his career and all these people's careers. Yeah.
And that's part of why I'm releasing the high school ash cans. They're drawn on notebook paper. They're 8.5 by 11. You know what I mean? So they're going to be released at 8.5 by 11.
And you've got a number of tiers on here too, by the way, just to, kind of sort of focus on the Kickstarter for a little bit here, even though we could talk about all kinds of stuff for another 5 or 6 hours probably.
Sure.
You've got still #1 issues that you're sending out signed for $20. So you got 50 of them left there. People can grab that. You've got I've scrolled past it already, but you got home movies of your mom at a Chicago Comic-Con that'll be there for download.
They're actually cut together like a TV show. So they're not going to be like 8 and like, and now we're outside the show. It's not quite like that. There's some really funny stuff. One of my favorite parts of Ma Fisher's Family Flicks. Okay, when I got married to my wife, she's from Japan. So 9/11 had just happened. And I'm like, they're going to change all the laws. I knew they were going to redo immigration. And I loved her. I was madly in love with Waka. And so I'm like, we gotta handle this now. So we went ahead and we got legally married. And a couple years later, we had the big wedding. But we got married pretty quick. You know what I mean? Within a year of us knowing each other, the legal marriage. And my parents didn't know. I didn't tell them. And what I used to do is I lived in LA, and then I would come back to Chicago every 4th of July weekend for the Wizard World 4th of July Comic-Con. And it was great because all my friends were here in the Midwest. I could see my mother and father. They would come to the show. So I've got this footage of me telling my mom that, hey, Mom, this is my wife, Waka. And she's like, what? Huh? What? What? And there's lots of really funny stuff like that in there. There's vacation footage in there. There's footage of us at the shows, with the girls, Ginger Hill and Mistress Layla, and the Graveyard Theater guys, which do a horror host show. And we're having a blast, man. We're drinking, we're spanking people. It was a good time.
All right. Well, for $35, you can get the movie and the digital.
Yeah, that's right. You get the download of and it's like, I think it's almost an hour of stuff. It's a lot of cool stuff.
So I'm looking for the book itself, and here it is. Wow, I was expecting. Okay, I'll tell you, Hart. I was expecting to see like $150, $200 for a 325 page omnibus, because omnibuses are big. $50,
yeah,
for 325 page trade paperback. That's insanely cheap.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm here to present value.
Yeah.
I love these books, and I want people to have them. I want people to read them. That's what's important to me.
Okay, but to hit that goal, because it's I'll tell you honest to God, it's a lofty goal for a first campaign to hit 20,000.
It's a big goal. One of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to create a newsprint version, like a off print, not a print on demand, but we wanted to create a big book, especially for retailers. So if you go into retail stores.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people that frankly, shipping is expensive, getting all these orders fulfilled. You can't have people just doing it for free. You got to pay people to do this. I won't be packing this up myself. I run American Horror, so there's no way I could pack it myself. I've got an order fulfillment team here in town, headed by one of the local comic book shop owners who's an expert at this kind of thing. So I'm going to hand it off to him. But I knew that this is a big, like, to get the T-shirts printed, and I sat down and I went through my budget, and I thought, like, well, what do I need to accomplish my goals, and be honest. And so that's what I did.
Well, you're on your way, but it's there's a ways to go. I didn't mean to scroll that one.
It's okay. We got 10 days, and I think we could do it. I think we could do this. We've got 10 solid, real days to get people involved. You know, and it's one of those things where a lot of people, I have been gone for a while, so it's taking a while for people to understand that I'm serious, that I'm actually back.
I know there's a way to I hate Kickstarter. It's got 2 scroll bars. I keep grabbing the wrong one. I've bought Kickstarter before. I will buy Kickstarter again. But as a podcaster, I hate presenting Kickstarter because not only does it have 2 scroll bars, but when I try to point at the thing I'm talking about, that happens.
It goes green. Yeah,
it goes green, and you can't read behind it. And as a customer, when I order using my PayPal card, like, and I'll just say, do I have money in PayPal? Yes, I have money in PayPal. And then I send it off and I forget about it. Well, like 2 days from now, I'll be doing an Indiegogo campaign. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Do I have money in PayPal? Yes, I have money in PayPal. And I'll send it off to Indiegogo. Well, guess what? Indiegogo takes it right then. Kickstarter waits until they're ready. And then they come back and say, where's that money you said we could have? I'm like, you didn't take it? So, you know, it's not like a checkbook. I just look in the bucket and see if there's money floating in it.
I think a lot of people shop that way.
Yeah, I know. It's not like I go to Walmart and say, I want to order this. And then they, 3 weeks later, they charge me for it.
Well, the thing with these tiers that we've got here is for the rewards, one of the cool ones is we're bringing back the original buildable T-shirts that we had from their original run in the 90s. So we have a great shirt from Kyle Holtz. He did the cover for Blowtorch Kiss, and it's this really dynamic shirt. That's one of the reward tiers. It's 100% cotton silk screen shirt. We're going to have them silk screened so they will hold up and they will last for a while. The back has got the classic Boneyard Press Thug logo on the back in red, and their other shirt is from Nelson. So we have this other classic shirt from Build a Bull, One Shot, One Bourbon, One Beer, #2 by Nelson, the artist who did Udeman, and a bunch of other great covers. He's a really fun guy, cool guy. I miss hanging out with these people. And so we're bringing his shirt back too. So those shirts are available on their own tiers, and they're also available with the books. And then you could actually get a book and the 2 shirts. And we're adding on all of the ash cans tonight for the original high school Build-A-Bowl.
Oh, cool. So this is a campaign that's still going to be getting some editing done to it. I want to see this one hit goal. I get into the campaigns when I have guests on. I'm like, I get as excited about them as they are.
Guys, we have 10 days. We have 10 days. A lot of people have told me that a good time for a campaign is 20 days. So we have 10 days. We can get out there. We can get the word out there. I've been asking my friends, like, hey, guys, I'm serious. You got to share this. I'm having to contact my friends like, come on, man. Share my thing, and you got to endorse this. What the hell? Don't just share it. Tell them how long we've been friends and how much you used to read this book. What the fuck, man?
And that's why I tell everybody in the chat, if you're watching now, I don't care if you like the video. I'm not going to ask you for that because that feels, would you like me, please? But do please share the video so that, Build the Bull gets in front of all the eyeballs in your social circle, because y'all have social circles that aren't my social circle. So that's how this thing works. It ripples out and it spreads around. So please do hit the share button so that people can find out about this. And then click on the description below. Click to the Kickstarter, and while you're looking at it, share it again. Click all 4 of these options here that share it. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter, email it to your friends. And if you got a web page, just grab this thing and embed the Kickstarter on your web page. Get some traffic through your web page that way. Get some clicks. Kickstarter gives you plenty of ways.
And you have a chance to really be involved in something. This is our 30-year anniversary. Build a Bull is known by so many people in the industry. It's your chance to be part of a real real return, something that was a big deal in the 90s, and you're getting a chance to help bring that back. You're getting an opportunity to bring back a classic book with all these amazing artists in it. Frank Forte, Jason Moore, I believe Bill Nichols' first inking work is in this book. A lot of creators are all coming back to me too and saying, hey, like I was on the phone with Dan Fraga and we were talking about the old days. And I'm like, man, I'm coming back. I'd love to have you on board for a Build a Bull story next year sometime. And he's like, okay.
Well, have you gone on his show?
I haven't. I did. Dan's got a show?
Yeah. Fraga Boom has a show with like, about 1,000 more viewers than I have.
So you're saying I should go bug Dan and try to get on his show, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be a good idea.
That's what people are trying to tell me. They're like, Billy's got a show. You could bug him. And it's weird. I've always had a hard time asking for help. So it's kind of weird for me to bug friends of mine or people I've known or haven't talked to in a long time. Some of them I haven't talked to Dan in a long time.
But that's all they're doing is they're putting people on their shows that are making comics and putting them out there. So, it's not really bugging. It's like, hey, I'm available as a guest. Because being a podcaster, believe me, Saturday night, I'm looking at my calendar like, I got to fill these slots. Who wants to come talk about their comic book with me? So, Dan, Billy, they're all doing the same thing. Ethan Van Sciver's got just, the world sits at his feet and, he says bye and they pull out wallets. So you need to get on those channels for sure.
Okay. I guess I'll bug them.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. Get on there as soon as possible. Definitely get in there before 10 days is gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing. I've done like a podcast every night. Every night this week, I've been on one. I was on several last week, and it is part of people knowing like, wow, Hart's serious. Hart's here.
Yeah.
That you have to get out there and get on. I believe it's just as important for me to talk to your audience as it is to talk to Billy's audience.
Yeah.
Get what I mean?
Do you have your own podcast?
No.
Why not? I mean, you've got the voice for it. You've got the brains for it. You've got an engaging personality. You would do very well to have your own channel. And then I'd be able to say, I was here before him podcasting, and look, he's got 100,000 subscribers, and I'm still, at 1,500. I
had my own show. I had a political radio show called Heart Attack Radio, and I did that for a bit, and it was. I had to mothball the whole thing when my wife was fighting colon cancer. I couldn't do it all, and so I have the American Horrors channel, and that's a full-time enterprise. I've got the American Horrors Film Festival, which we're in our 5th year, and we're actively soliciting for feature films and short films and music video submissions right now. So I'm already on camera and shooting as a host of American Horrors, the television network. And I've been shooting the promos and stuff for the American Horrors Film Festival. So frankly, I enjoyed my time podcasting. I enjoyed my time on Jackalope Radio because I had a show on Jackalope Radio. I really liked it, but I don't have enough time. I just don't. I'm going to need to use my time to get these books done.
That makes sense. I understand. Well, when they're done, consider engaging with the audience, especially if you're going to do like more buildable in the future. That would be. Yeah,
we're doing more. That's the whole plan. The idea is this is our 30-year anniversary, so this is our first Kickstarter. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter for Build a Bull. We're doing a Kickstarter for the Dahmer books. We're going to do the big book of Dahmer and reprint it all.
We'll be there.
Then we're going to be doing the Dark Angel Kickstarter. We've got the Babylon Crush Kickstarter. Poems for the Dead. We've got a whole line of my new poetry books. And once upon a time, Poems for the Dead was carried in the Hot Topic stores.
Yeah. So also known as So You Want to Be a Goth.
Burn down the Hot Topic.
Yeah, I remember Hot Topic kind of. Are they still around?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were.
But this was back in. So think about it. My poetry was for sale in Hot Topic in the malls around America in 1996, 97, 98.
Yeah. When people would go in there to buy their Death T-shirts with the Neil Gaiman character on it.
Their purple lipstick, their ripped up fishnets, their imitation vintage T-shirt.
Hot Topic knew how to take advantage of moody teenager angst for financial profit. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to figure out how to do that again today. Maybe through crowdfunding some sort of a comic that would appeal to them. We've hit the top of the hour. Is there anything about Bill the Bull that we didn't touch on here? I mean, we've rushed through a lot of things, it feels like, and I think there's probably a lot of stuff we've skipped. I mean, I don't even know for a fact whether or not Bill lives in a world where everyone else is normal and he's the weird-looking bull character. He's
the weird-looking bull character. Everybody else is normal.
Okay, I got the feeling of that, but I just want to be sure. So,
and there's a universe where there's the Boneyard universe has supernatural entities. It's got werewolves, demons, devils, witches. There's a great story in Bill the Bull where there's a priest who's been turned into a vampire, and he shows up because Bill the Bull ostensibly was a private eye. He was a private investigator, and he wasn't always a bull. Once upon a time, he was a human being, and I know his origin, but I've been teasing it out in the books year after year, just putting a little clue here, a little clue there on how he came to be Bill the Bull.
Might be time to get to that.
Yeah, and I like that. I hate the spoon feeding. Guys who make those Marvel movies, I don't ever need to see you reboot Spider-Man from the top. Never do that again. Same with Batman. I don't ever need to see the Waynes killed again in slow motion with slow motion pearls hitting the ground and bouncing. I don't ever need to see that ever again. So in this Bill the Bull story, this priest comes into the office while they're sitting there wolfing down some Wendy's, and he says, "I want you to kill me. I'm a vampire." And you're like, "Bullshit, you're crazy. What are you, high?" Well, he vamps out right there in the middle of their office, and they have a brawl with this vampire and destroy their office. He ends up impaling this thing with the leg of a chair, smashes it and impales him with the leg of the chair, while I think his partner Nick peed himself. There's some really funny stuff in here. And the new stories we're working on right now, we got Max DeVille from Mary Machine Gun. He's working on new Bill the Bull stories. Max and I have been working together for many years. And here's a tidbit. In high school, Max DeVille was a huge Bill the Bull fan.
It all comes together. What was it Hannibal used to say? I love it when a plan comes together.
Totally. Dun, 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 dun.
Now that's a license I would love to get for comics. I'm sure that's being very held closely, but my dream is to get the license for like every 80s television show that was good and put them in the same shared universe. So, you have the A-Team going after a bad guy that, is fighting with Kit, and, he's dumping chemicals in the water, and that gets the Riptide people involved, and just a fan out on something for once. Rabbi Zvi is doing something like that with his comic crowdfunded book, The Rabbi from Another Planet, in his Comics Palooza, because he's just taken all the 60s British shows and just, I don't care if they're copyrighted or not. It's obvious who they are, and I'm doing the story stop me. So I was on a show with him last night, and I thought his artwork was really good. Very well done art, and I liked his sincerity. He's like, "Look, I'm drawing the sexy pictures I want to see. I drew these sexy pictures for me. I didn't draw them for you. I hope you like them." But that's the thing about Bill the Bull, and when I write, like I wrote most of the material in here. Almost all the material in here I've written. And when I write, I'm writing a story for myself. I'm trying to excite myself, and I'm trying to top myself, and I'm trying to do a cooler story than before. And I think as you go through the omnibus, you can kind of see, I think you could see my writing influences. I think you could see the journey of my writing with the omnibus, because I've been doing that. I've been going through the books and figuring out what's going to go in here, and we're going to reprint the original editorials, the epitaphs from all the books. And it'll help put the reader in that space that Bill the Bull existed in 90s outlaw independent comics. And it was a mainstream character. You know what I mean? It was a mature reader's book, but because he's cursing like a sailor and he's drinking and killing people, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it was hardly underground. So yeah, it was still mainstream.
Totally. Just had
right.
more of an edge. And Diamond Distribution really liked the book. Quentin Tarantino gave us a thumbs up on Build a Bull. We used to get certified cool all the time. And frankly, Diamond actually quoted the phrase of calling me the Quentin Tarantino of comics with Build a Bull.
Well, that's all we need to know then. That's, that should be. We can go away from calling you the devil of the comic book industry and calling you the Quentin Tarantino of the comic book industry. We'll promote you.
Thank you.
That's
a lot nicer.
We'll start doing that now. All right. Hart, thank you so much for bringing Bill the Bull over to our channel tonight. I really appreciate it, getting to know you and getting to know your work here some. I'm very excited about this project. I want to see it succeed. So we'll continue to push it as hard as we can to our social circles.
Thank you. I really need the help. Everybody who's listening, I need your help, guys. I'm new. Like I'm really new to this. So if you could please help. I'm sure I've got a lot of experience, but this Kickstarter thing is a completely different animal. Yeah. And I've been out of comics for 16 years. So I need help. I'm going to say I need the help. You guys are right. I'm going to go hit up Dan. I'm going to go hit up Billy. I'm going to go bug them and say, I got to get on your show, guys. Come on, man. Get me on your show.
You know what they'll tell you?
I don't know. You
should do Indiegogo.
Yeah, actually, that's something we discussed. Me and Debbie Tucci has been pushing. They've been very frank, and each Kickstarter has, like you said, its own audience, and Indiegogo has its audience. So I see nothing wrong with utilizing both platforms to achieve your goal.
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't really matter who the creator is or what the topic is. I've seen things hit on Kickstarter that miss on Indiegogo and vice versa. And then, I see things like Common America with those guys. And they just let's go to Kickstarter, make $1 million. That was fun. Let's go to Indiegogo and do it again. And they do. They just rake it in on both sides. So it's a crapshoot. You find your audience and where they are, and then you just keep going to them. Kara Nicole had her, she's a cosplayer and a publisher. I had her on last week. I was asking her, historically, your Indiegogos were they were 6,000, then 9,000, and then 36,000. I said, what did you do? She's like, well, I started doing the Kickstarters first. And apparently there's a mechanism where instead of taking the money from Kickstarter and coming to you, you can tell Kickstarter, I'm going to do an Indiegogo next, and roll the money over to the next platform. So you say, hey, my Indiegogo's here. I have a goal of $5,000. And then $25,000 from Kickstarter rolls into it, and boom, you're funded. The algorithm kicks in. You're on the front page. You're 5 times over the funding limit, and you just turned on the campaign. So it's. I have no idea how that works functionally. I know she does. I know other people do, but a lot of options.
Well, I've picked up some new pros who've done a lot of campaigns, and they're right now. We had our meeting earlier today, so they're on board now. And we had the whole conversation of should we quit? Should we restart this thing? And I'm like, we're in the campaign. Why quit? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. We got 10 days. Let's go for it.
Yeah. I mean, then if it fails, you go to Indiegogo, you start with a 60. You don't start with 60. You start with 30, and then you extend at 30. I know people who start with 60, and they just we're going to take. No, don't do that. that diminishes expectations.
That and I've got a lot of these I want to do. I'm really excited about getting the art out there to the audience. This notion of being able to, everybody's telling me, Hart, you need more art up here. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of art up there. I'm from a different generation where I'm going, dude, you would never get this much art in a catalog. You know what I mean? So
no, this isn't a catalog though.
Exactly. So I'm learning. And I'm listening to everybody. Every podcaster I've been on in the last 2 weeks has had different advice for me. And I'm trying to link up when they match, and I'm listening, and they're really helping me understand this animal a lot better. And I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm going to be here. I'm coming back. I'm in.
Good. I mean, it's true that yes, you are interacting directly with your customers, but the paradigm is such that the customer isn't the comics reader so much anymore. You got to approach this like you're pitching a comic to a publisher, and the publisher is your customer. So the publisher would want to see a lot more artwork before buying off on it. And now the reading customer is in essentially a production credit. They're part of the production team. by
Right.
funding the book. It's
For sure.
it's different. It's still, you know, a paradigm that people are getting their heads wrapped around. Some people have mastered it and they just have taken off with it, and some people, you know, I'm still learning it and I'm talking about it every night. Anyway,
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up tonight. We don't have a show if you don't show up here, so we're very glad for you. As I said, please do share the video to get this in front of more people. So thankful you're here. If you want to, please click on the link in the description to learn more about Bill the Bull. And, you know, if you scroll further down, you'll see some of the books that Critical Blast Publishing also puts out. We do some horror and some sci-fi. So you get curious about something to read on Amazon, check it out. And as always, we just hope you had a